Welcome to the Greenfield Report with R Greenfield, your gateway to understanding today's geopolitical landscape. With 50 years of experience across 10 countries, Henry shares expert insights on world affairs, offering practical solutions and engaging guest perspectives. Dive into the Greenfield Report for lively discussions on the issues that matter.
This is Henry R. Greenfield, and welcome to the Greenfield Report. Today we will be discussing how Donald J. Trump is attempting to reshape the world and his plan that is already causing chaos around the globe. Events are moving faster than anyone could have predicted. Not even Project 2025 envisioned this amount of chaos. With Trump all but crashing the U.S. economy and managing to get every U.S. ally against him in just 7 short weeks, he is beginning to look like he doesn't have a plan. But I can assure you, he certainly does. Let us go back to that moment in the Oval Office with Zelensky of Ukraine and Trump playing the MasterCard dealer. Unfortunately, Zelensky didn't get it. We all should at this point when Trump said, "You don't have the cards," which he has repeated over and over. And no, Zelensky did not have the cards, especially the Trumpian cards. There are constant references by so-called experts as to, does Trump play chess or does he play checkers? And what is the next move in some complex game where reading the Trump tea leaves becomes an obsession? While Trump's approach is not completely simple, it is indeed cards and not checkers or chess that Trump is foisting upon the rest of the world, starting with the USA. In the Trump universe, there are only winners and losers in this zero-sum game, and Trump intends to be the winner and will roll over all of the little guys that he needs to get what he wants and to turn the U.S. into Fortress America. An America with massive resources and buffer zones, so that even if the world goes to hell in a handbasket, as they might say, the U.S. will win and always be number one. To understand this and why Trump heaps such disdain on Biden, we should first have one fond farewell look at what, once again, Trump has inherited from a Democratic president. Yes, a well-running, well-oiled economy. An economy that allows Trump to use and abuse as he attempts to reshape America and the world. This grand experiment may succeed or become a failure, but it could never have been attempted without good old Joe Biden leaving his host of riches and bounty for Trump to play with. When Trump took office for the second time, this is what he found in the proverbial cupboards just waiting for him to use. A compound 4-year growth rate of over 4%, or to be more fair and to throw out the bounce-back economy from COVID, if you want to believe Trump, an economy then that grew at least 3% in 2023 and 2024. In other words, better than any year of Trump. An economy far outdistancing China at, now get this, a $30 trillion US GDP, or almost 50% higher than Trump's $21 trillion economy in 2020. And China? When Trump left, it was $17.7 trillion, or getting close to the USA. And at the end of 2024, $18.3 trillion rounded up versus the US at $30 trillion, the largest economy in the history of the world. So who is winning for the past 4 years? Biden, by far, and by almost every measure. But there are negatives for Biden. Inflation, while year-on-year for 2024 was 2.8% after a peak of 9%, which, to be fair, Biden did contribute to. But as Larry Summers said, if you want to blame Biden for some of the inflation caused by both Biden and Trump dumping in trillions into the economy and a slow-acting Federal Reserve, then you have to give Biden credit for getting it down to the 2+ range. Summers just today noted Biden avoided a recession, while Trump appears to be in one already, taking us there again in less than 7 weeks. Unemployment, 4.1%, or full employment under Biden. Labor participation, highest in 30 years. Wage gains beating inflation for 3 straight years. A stock market at all-time highs for all 4 years of Biden, leaving at a peak of around 45,000, and the NASDAQ also at an all-time high. We could go on, but you get the picture. Whatever Trump was going to do to the economy of Biden, who from day one on January 21st, 2021, when Biden took office in the chaos of a failed insurrection, Biden did what he said he would do. Biden delivered investments in the trillions into the U.S. economy. And what was the result? An economy that has been considered to be the best performing economy in the world as compared to all of its competitors, especially China and Europe, which actually had flat or negative growth for the past 2 years. So what is the Trump economy going to be? The chaos that you can see around you in every part of the globe right now? We don't have to repeat very much of the daily list of Trump falsehoods about the U.S. economy when he arrived. And it is a pity that he doesn't just accept his good fortune and then do what he wants to do and then see what happens. But no, in true I am never wrong Trumpian style, everything that came before him, and especially the 4 years that he believes was stolen from him by Biden, and yes, those American people, all 81 million who voted against him, he has to attack, and attack. Poor old Joe Biden. The worst president, the worst economy, the worst unemployment, and anything that was good that happened, it was all about him, including the highest stock market in history, all waiting for Trump to arrive. So before we tell you what Trump's real plan is, what has happened in the past 7 short weeks as he prepares his shock and awe campaign to rock and change the world dramatically? If the stock market was excited about Trump, it has soured equally or more dramatically. From peaks of 45,000 almost to 46, down now 8% to a close today of 41,911. At the same time, in Trump's quest to make Europe great again, all of his pressure and threats against Europe has resulted in the highest stock market valuations across Europe and even the UK. Investments are up on the continent. So how can that be if Trump is targeting Europe and his anti-EU created only to rival and attack the US sentiment, according to Trump? How can he has shifted the playing field so quickly against his own United States? China, you might ask. You know, that also-ran economy that Biden whipped for 4 straight years? They announced today that they are moving into a high-tech economy focusing on AI and technologies of the future. Yes, Trump is back, inspiring economies around the world to take on the USA. Maybe it might have been better to keep Sleepy Joe around a bit more? Of course not. Don't be absurd. Trump has a plan, right? It is time to reveal the true Trump plan, and it takes pieces of several economic theories, all long since debunked, but Trump is going to try them anyways. One last point before revealing all. The key point for Americans is, with Biden leaving an excellent traditional global economy where everyone is supposed to win, especially by investing trillions, yes, trillions, into reshoring and investing into high-tech industries, including $1 trillion or so for high-speed chips and solar, and rebuilding the U.S. economy to the absolute #1 in the world, to a complete switch to an America-only economy where only the U.S. wins. Trump has been given the ultimate toy to play with. But he can only play with it so long, and if today's stock market crash is any indication, it may already be beginning to unravel and fall apart. This is why he is a man on a mission, hell-bent on doing it now before anyone catches on to his real goal of reshaping the world economy as fast as he can in his great power rivalry with, if you have been following, you'll know the answer. That's right, China. Let us begin. Imagine a world just 50 years ago. 90% of the industrialization was in the West and in the Soviet Union and its COCOM members. Fast forward through wave after wave of outsourcing and globalization, and what do you see today? From 90% poverty rates outside of the West, meaning the US, Canada, Australia, EU, UK, and Japan, now, instead in 2025, you have literally billions of people enjoying a better life. Well, who paid for that? You did, if you live in any of those countries, as there also was very little capital outside of the West, certainly not in the Soviet Union or their satellite countries, and definitely not in China, as I was there, and China had very little in 1975. You lost your jobs then. You lost your industries. Then you transitioned away from traditional industries and to even newer industries, and then finally to the knowledge and service economy. You traded it all for cheap products and financial services and technology and skyrocketing valuations. And who really won? Oh, the developing world. But as we shall see in future episodes, the real winners are the rulers now of the planet, the techno-monarchists who have switched allegiances overnight. Once in control, they will not give it up. And rival groups in the U.S. and the Chinese camps now pretty much control much of the commerce and communication throughout the world. Well, what is Trump going to do that is different? He gets it, and this is his short list of where he is going as fast as he can. First of all, to get as many resources, especially in high-tech needs such as rare earths, as possible. Ukraine, for instance, is useless for him without it. And all support to anyone that doesn't directly benefit the United States. If people starve or have to be moved in the millions, like in Gaza, well then so be it. Make close friends with whoever has money and resources. That means Russia, which has resources, and Saudi, which have both. He needs them to do what he wants. Create a buffer zone around the U.S. and grab ever more resources. Canada, what is their future? Well, Canada will pay for everything, including their defense. Canada will have to acknowledge the U.S. is its security guarantor, and they will pay just like Europe. Trump will keep NATO, but Europe will pay for what would be a transactional relationship, or what would be now known in the future as U.S. mercenaries, to protect them, including the exorbitant 5% fee that he is demanding from their economies for the nuclear umbrella, which France and the UK cannot substitute and provide by themselves. Mexico will be threatened with more U.S. troops, and Trump will create a buffer on the southern border inside Mexico if necessary. If Mexico balks, he will take effective security control of the country, and Mexico becomes yet another protectorate. Similarly, he will take control of Greenland and its resources. Panama Canal is now owned by BlackRock, a U.S. company. China is out. He knows China doesn't really care, however, because they now have their own port in Peru, thus draining the Amazon of resources via the Andes. But Trump doesn't care, as South America and Central America are useless to him. He has cut off all aid and development worldwide. As Elon Musk puts it, the greatest weakness of the West is its empathy. That is finished under Trump. There will be no more. Reshore anything that costs money, such as tech, steel, aluminum, hence the high tariffs on these items in particular. Use tariffs to get everything he can back, except cheap stuff like toys, shoes, low-level hardware, or clothing. He can always source that anywhere. Focus on beating China, but beating them not through partnerships or allies, but by making the U.S. a fortress with buffer zones. So where does that leave the rest of the world and U.S. allies? He literally doesn't care, except he will keep the nuclear guarantee. He will keep those 800 bases, but he is not going to pay for them. Korea will have to pay 100% for U.S. security protection and more. Japan will not be encouraged to develop their military except at lower levels. They will also pay 100% for every base, every American serviceman. Taiwan will pay for protection from China. They will be forced to give all of their technology to the USA in return for protection. Australia will pay 100% for everything that the US does, including having bases in their country. Ditto for New Zealand, who will be told to shut up and stop complaining and to end their culture wars as it offends Trump. India is a bit different. They are getting bigger and stronger. Trump likes Modi, and he will support his Hinduizing of India in return for their being the policeman in the region. But they will get no more H-1B visas, as Trump is afraid of Indianizing the United States. The rest of Asia, they will all pay security fees for everything. Everyone from Vietnam to Thailand to Singapore, the Philippines, which will now pay for its U.S. bases, and on it goes. Just yesterday, Senior Minister Lee in Singapore said the U.S. will no longer just pay for security in the region. Asia will now have to pay their fair share and more. Myanmar will become a friend again to stop China. It doesn't matter how many die or if democracy never comes back. Those days are over. Indonesia will be allowed to Islamize, but stay on their islands and do whatever they want to each other as long as it doesn't bother Trump. He may extend nuclear guarantees if they pay for it. And then there is the Middle East. He will turn it over to Israel on the military side, along with his friend MBS of Saudi Arabia. Everyone reports into these two, and he puts a crushing burden on Iran, threatening them if they go nuclear, he will unleash Israel to take them out, which is waiting for the chance to do so. The rest, he could care less, as long as they keep quiet and leave him alone. They can do whatever they want to each other, deny women's rights. He will bridge no serious rivalries from any of them. Immigration into Europe, that's not his problem. He views the Euros as already lost, and they are a rival anyway, so why help them? Africa, unfortunately, it is meaningless to him. He will let it go, except maybe some resource deals. And if he can get it, regime change in South Africa. BRICS and Brazil, he will target and threaten them. They could be a problem for him, but he will find a way, and no way will there ever be a BRICS currency. Let them burn the Amazon to the ground. The faster the better, so they will have nothing to sell. Protecting at a price, impoverishing the world, taking all the best of high-tech parts for America and building an impregnable wall around the U.S. to the point where he controls the future of the U.S. and indirectly everything except China. Those are his goals for this term. After that, we shall see. These are not much different, you might think, than the old mercantile or British Empire, where everything of value is done in the home country, and whatever happens in the hinterlands serves the empire and those on top. As for the American people, they will be allowed to live in his empire, his golden age of Trump. The winners are obvious: those who have skills, those who are oligarchs, especially tech oligarchs, those who can invest with him in crypto exchanges to end the U.S. dollar and its preeminence and move it towards his family's interest in crypto and crypto exchange. In effect, the new gold standard which he aims to control. No tracing, all money unaccounted for with no tax, equaling untold wealth, power that will become hereditary one way or the other. For the 100 million MAGAs and their children, grandchildren, and offspring, and the 50 million or so evangelicals, as he has already told him, if he gets elected, they won't ever have to do that ever again. He will make good on that promise, and they will be able to bask in the glow of a Christian national republic. He will give grants to schools that teach using the Bible. There will be no more public school teacher unions or schools in the traditional manner. This type of education will be all they get and all they need. If they have health issues, it's not his problem, as he will be squeezing everything. Dismantling the deep state is critical, as they will all be against all of his plans. Thus, it is not just jobs or dollars that he wants to cut. It is also he has to control all of the press and all of the mechanisms that make up the U.S. society. He is well on his way with Mr. No Empathy Musk. He wants to keep down diseases, but if they flare up, it is not a problem. They will just lose some people, like he did with COVID. The key is control. The Americans will get to keep as many guns as they want. He will encourage militias, public and private, to keep control of the population. He, of course, will have only his generals and the military that are personally loyal to him. That is already happening. It is why Pete Hegseth is focusing on getting rid of woke, which really means anyone who would oppose Trump controlling the military outside of the Constitution, which no longer will matter. It is why Trump brought out of retirement his personal general to be chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Raisin Cain, as Trump calls him. Who do you think he will be loyal to? The Democrats don't even know what is going on, and waiting for Trump to make a mistake this time will be fatal. The Supreme Court will not be able to stop him, and the lower courts packed with Trump judges will simply take care of it for him and make whatever the Supreme Court say moot, as it will already be a done deal by the time it gets to them. A man on a mission, and it has to be done now, fast, and without hesitation. That is why he got Musk in. They are symbiotic bookends. Musk gets rid of the deep state. Trump gets rid of the countries that used to be allies, like Canada or Europe, which have to pay up or they are out, and Russia can take them. China, that is his one looming problem. But Trump feels he can control the major parts of the world, neutralize Europe, and get them to pay for their security, and then he is way ahead. Giving pieces away to Putin in return for Trump getting Russian resources in an autocratic swap so Putin can build his dynasty. The end of Western democracy, and again, as Musk puts it, empathy, the weakness of the West. That's the Trump plan, and he is already well on his way to implementing and making it happen. You see, it's not about growth rates or even tariffs. He is not concerned with inflation. Today he told people to shut up about the price of eggs. Do not irritate the king. Your petty problems are not his concern, including unemployment is going up. You will just have to take 2 jobs. And interest rates? Don't worry. He plans to bully the Federal Reserve, but that can wait. Can you and your 29% credit card rates? I am often told this is a dystopian vision. It cannot be true, and if it is, there is no hope. They now control everything around the world except China, and over there, they have a dictator, so what can one do? Well, there's a lot you can do depending on where you live and your type of government. It may not be your first choice, for instance. I mean, who would choose to militarize? Who wants to give up a nice life or do anything other than watch sports and go enjoy yourself? We all deserve that, right? Well, I think of those who don't have any opportunities, who are at least getting vaccinated or fed and now have nothing. I think of education for women and girls who are now told the weakness of the West is empathy, when we all know that every religion teaches the exact opposite. And yet no one is saying anything. We need to take things one step at a time. The first is awareness. Share this podcast with as many people as you possibly can. We cannot sit back and just let it happen. Do your own research. Check and see if what I have said is true, and I think you will find that it is. Trump and Musk and their supporters want to remake the world, economically and morally, away from the past 100 years of the U.S. as the exceptionally good country. There is no moral center for them. It is all lies and all about them, all the time. I hope you found this podcast informative. We will continue to offer alternative points of view for you to consider and to share with your friends, family, and colleagues. All of these areas will be expanded upon in the coming weeks and months as Trump rolls out his plan to change the world and create Fortress USA. We would do well to remember, that is, truth does die in darkness. We hope to have shed some light today on Trump and Musk and the crypto and tech monarchists. Thank you for listening. This is Henry R. Greenfield, signing off from Europe.
Thank you for joining us on the Greenfield Report with Henry R. Greenfield. We hope today's insights into the ever-shifting geopolitical landscape have sparked your curiosity and broadened your perspective. Stay connected with us for more in-depth discussions and expert solutions. Until next time, keep exploring the world beyond the headlines.